Okay, lesson 2. Satya. Satya is the practice of truthfulness, or the refusal to go along with lies. Like with non-violence, the explanation is often very simple. Don't lie to your parents and your teachers. Subject closed. Next subject. I don't mind if you lie to me as your teacher. Because I know when you lie. Like with violence, lying destroys harmony. And you feel it when people lie. No matter how sincere they try to be. You pay attention, you feel it. When I was a little child, if I lied to my mom, she just wouldn't have it. And she would just stand in front of me and say, "You're lying." And me trying to put on my most sincerest face, is, no, it's really true. And she said, "No, you're lying." "How do you know, Mom?" "It's written on your forehead," she would say. The first time she said that, I went to the bathroom and I came back and I said, "Mom, there's nothing on my forehead. What do you mean?" It's like the Pinocchio in your handout. It's symbolism for lying, obvious. The expression of lying. If you're the least bit sensitive, you feel it intuitively, even instinctively. Is this important? To tell the truth? Is it important? The problem is, it's not easy to always be honest. We have expressions. In Korean you say, "Sonye 거짓말," a white lie. There are exceptions. There are, for example, things that can be shocking to a child. It's adult business. You can be trying to be bluntly honest because the philosophy tells you to always be honest. It can harm children. So then a white lie is warranted. But generally, we have to ask ourselves, why do we actually lie? Why do we lie? Mostly out of convenience. We think that by lying we can make a complicated situation easy. Maybe in the moment the problem goes away, it will come back to bite you. It will come back with a vengeance. So it's very two-dimensional thinking that a lie can just make a situation less complicated or even go away. But again, it's a matter of subconscious functioning. A human being is just inherently lazy. So if we can tell a lie to make something very complicated, something very uncomfortable to go away, without even thinking of it rationally, without consciously actually doing it, before we know it, the lie comes out of our mouth and it's done. It's just an instinct. Subconscious functioning makes us try to make an uncomfortable or very complicated situation go away. If you lie very deliberately and on purpose, that's another matter. You might have to check your moral values. That is another matter. People who lie very deliberately and purposefully, they will never come to a class like this. But other people, in other situations, we usually lie without actually the intention to lie. It just happens. But now, because we are yogis, we start doing things more and more mindfully, consciously. We start noticing that our lies, although on the surface may seem to make situations less complicated, people lose trust in us. People do see written on our forehead that we are lying. So they lose trust in us, because next time when you say the truth, then you might be lying as well. People lose respect for you. People do not want to associate with you anymore. That can be a friend, it can be a business partner. You may lose your career over a lie. You can lose wonderful opportunities working together with other people that trust each other because of a lie. Do you want to work with somebody who lies? I don't. You probably have tried, and it always ended up in misery. Worse than you even dare to expect. Now, if you are a yogi, you start noticing the disharmony, the conflict that occurs as a result of lying. How do you solve that problem? You have to start doing effort. You may be in a situation where it might seem an easy solution to just tell a lie, but now knowing what you know that the next step is that it will come back. It will bounce back on you. So the only way out is the difficult way out. You have to start thinking about what to do and how to do in a proper way. It's not easy, but it changes the way people act and react upon you. It changes the way that people perceive you, and it will open doors that otherwise remain closed. And not only that, people who lie, they lack self-respect. Because people who lie subconsciously know what they are doing, they just can't help it. But it destroys your self-respect, your own sense of self-worth. So it works actually quite deep. We talked about white lie, children. Being truthful requires effort. With children, you have to be tactful, but also with adults. If you're just bluntly honest, the word in itself says it already, bluntly honest. You become like a bull in a china store, elephant in a china store. You do more damage than good. So if you want to practice honesty, put in the effort and be tactful, be sensitive. Try to anticipate that what you say is going to have a certain effect. And you don't want that effect to be, for example, violent. Verbal violence, violence in words. You don't want people to be hurt by your blunt honesty. You have to do effort. Be tactful. You have to think about what you're going to do and the effect that it will have. That is in fact the life of a yogi. If you want sattva, harmony, from which you will benefit enormously, you have to stop destroying it. Lying destroys it. And there are many ways and levels of lying, just like with violence. The most obvious one is the one that we discussed. is plainly telling a lie, distorting or denying the truth. We also, like with violence, lie to ourselves. We live in a world where that is strongly stimulated. We live in a world of media. We spend a large part of our time exposing ourselves to information. Some of it is real. I read the news, what is happening in the world. Some of it is not real. In the news, there may be some articles that are not true or distorted, but the media, like yoga, has been commercialized. It's all about money. So the truth is not so important. What is important is what you like to see and hear, even when that is an illusion, a fantasy, a lie. An illusion or a fantasy is technically, in the end, a lie. People indulge in lies if you consider this. Example? Oh gosh, there are so many. Because the media totally dominates modern life without us being aware of it. It even leads to schizophrenia, which means that I'm not even knowing who I actually am, portraying to be something that I'm not. When I was a teenager, there were two series that were very popular. One was on Friday night. They came only once a week, not every day like you have these days. Binge watching didn't exist yet. You just had to wait for a week to see the next episode. One would appear on Friday night, the other one on Saturday night. The one was called Dallas and Dynasty, and the other one was called, gosh, I forgot, but same. Was exactly the same concept as Dallas and Dynasty. What was it about? It was about the oil industry in Houston. People being filthy rich, living in a palace with golden water taps in the bathroom and what have you. And of course, all the drama that is involved in the human relationships with those people, their family and their friends. Very popular. Why? Because people identify with that glamour and glitter. And it becomes harmful when people who are not in the oil industry, people who are just having simple jobs in the supermarket or in the service industry or just, low-paying jobs, average jobs, that they are trying to copy, to emulate the glamour and glitter that they see on TV. They start to identify with it, and they go to the bank to get a loan to upgrade their interior because they want to have that wonderful mirror that they saw in Dallas and Dynasty. They want to have a more luxurious car than they are driving now. People put themselves in trouble with loans at the bank because they start living a fantasy. You recognize this? Other examples. I have two sisters, they are twins. Lovely girls. They were born 4 years after the last child was born. So the first 5 children were born in a row, every year one. That's how it went in the past, before contraception. But then contraception came and my mom started using the pill. But after 4 years, the doctor told her to 3 months abstain, then kind of clean up, and then after 3 months start again with the pill. She became pregnant in those 3 months. So twins were born, 2 sisters. So different generation, although the gap is only 4 years, very different from the first 5. And because they were twins and they were blonde and blue eyes and very popular, everybody adored them, and they're still friends with their elementary school teacher. And they were on TV with show ballet, and they were very active with dance and show business and what have you. Always, still, they're very active, exercising, swimming, jogging, what have you. Anyway, they had lots of friends. So the grammar school, a huge circle of friends formed, which still meets today, 35 years later. Now, what does this have to do with lying? It's about illusion again, because I know all those people, and I have observed them throughout the years, and they're living a lie, a fantasy, like with the Dallas and Dynasty drama series. They're always watching The Godfather, the mafia movies of the 90s. And they identify with those movies, especially the boys, the guys, who are now grown-up men. Guys that when they were teenagers were very spontaneous and funny and cute. They started turning into godfathers. They became nasty and unpleasant and kind of turning into mafia without really being mafia. See? You know what that does? It makes people turn away from you. Because people feel that it is only a posture, it's only fake. So those people, they always have to meet each other. In the week now, most of them have jobs. Some of them did end up in, semi-criminal things. In Holland, selling drugs is to some extent legal, marijuana. So some of them ended up in that business. A little bit shady, but still half legal. But they only feel empowered when they come together, whenever they can. They go to, in the weekend, they go to a bar, disco, coffee shop, and a couple of times a year they go to a big concert. And that's where they feel great and where they feel the king. But who are they really? What will happen if you isolate them all and not allow them to empower each other with their fantasy? They're nothing anymore, because they don't know who they really are. They are a character from a mafia movie. I'm exaggerating a bit, but if you look around, you will see that many people are like that. I had a yoga school in Itaewon in the beginning of 2000. At the edge of the army base, so there is a big road there, 6 lanes. I always arrive 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was driving my car on Monday morning. There was a couple in the middle of the road, and she was slapping her boyfriend in the face, totally oblivious. Fortunately, it was 5 o'clock in the morning, but what I saw happening there was basically just copying a scene from a Korean drama. When you're filming something like that, the traffic is stopped or guided around. But if you do that in real life, there is a big risk that actually a car hits you. So stupid, but totally understandable if you see that people are identifying with what they see on TV. So, am I telling you now that you should stop watching TV or reading novels, which is fantasy? No, that's not what I'm saying. Maybe a radical yogi would tell you to do that. Get rid of your smartphone and your iPad and your TV. No, I've done that too in the past. Enjoy. Enjoy the drama, enjoy the mafia movies, enjoy whatever it is that you do. But be aware of the fact that this is just enjoyment. Use it for enjoyment, not to become a new image that you build of yourself. And of course, when you're young, teenager, or late childhood and early teenage, later teenage, it is natural that you identify with your sports heroes, with your music stars, or I identified with Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was my hero. So I became interested in martial art. So I came to Korea. That's in the end what brought, so you have to be grateful to Bruce Lee for that. Well, if you hate me for this, then you have to blame him. Bruce Lee, for boys, even long after his death, inspired many young people, empowered many young people. But there comes a time that you have to grow up, and many people don't. They keep identifying with that image. And that is where you lose yourself. That is where it becomes harmful. See that? Prejudice is also not Satya. If you read Facebook, people comment. And you see those comments that, yes, all those Dutch people are cheese eaters. Something like that. Huh? All those people are terrorists. All those people are criminals. All those people. That is prejudice. Because one person commits a crime or terrorism, or we have a tendency to label the whole population a criminal. All Italian people are mafia. Huh? All Dutch people are drug criminals. All Americans are, all Koreans are. We have a tendency to do that. It's not Satya, and it's not fair either. You also do not want to be put into a group under one banner, totally burying who you really are. All yogis are hippies, New Age. I'm totally the opposite. Maybe on purpose. No, you know what is important? Really important? Is to just totally be yourself. What is that? Figure it out. I've been doing that all my life. Let me tell you another anecdote. As a teenager, I was in a very dark place, very unhappy, stuck. Among one thing, stuck in my identifications. In my desperation, when I was around 16 years old, in my desperation, I asked myself, what do I really want? I was so unhappy, that's not what I wanted. So if not that, then what do I really want? You know what the answer was? Very simple. The answer came and said, I just want to be happy. I thought about my childhood where I was innocent, naive, frivolous, spontaneous, and happy, regardless of the circumstances. I just wanted to be that little boy again, uncomplicated, happy. So that was the first question and the first simple answer. Just want to be happy. The next question then, of course, inevitably is, how do you do that? The answer to that question was also refreshingly simple. It was not get rich, be successful in your career. It was simply be yourself again. And ever since that realization, that is what I've tried to pursue. And still today am pursuing. Just being yourself again. And it starts with acknowledging your pain, your sadness, and your happiness. Be what you are. Feel what you feel. Don't deny, don't pretend. Just simple and plain. And from there on, everything changed. And if one thing led to another, from yoga to Hapkido to Korea to dogs. Whatever it is, just be yourself. That's the best you can do. That is why I'm not sitting here pretending to be a yogi. If you see me walking outside in the street, you just see another guy. Bold. There's nothing I can do about it. But you never think that I'm a yoga teacher or a yogi. Why? Because I don't identify with that. I don't pretend or portray to be like that. We talked about it at the last open day. And Artina reminded me of that documentary that I was mentioning. It's called Kumare. If you have a chance, you should see it, Kumare. It's about all the BS that is going around in the world. About spirituality, about the multi-billion-dollar business that it has become, full of lies, full of people pretending to be. Satya is many things. One very important thing is just be yourself. Whatever that is. And go from there. From there you will evolve, you will develop, and you will find your strength, you will find your center as a result of that. You will find something that you're really passionate about, and you will dig in deep into that. For me, that has become yoga. Yoga is not something that I memorized, that I acquired. It's something that I live 24 hours a day. That is where yoga truly becomes unity or fusion. You become yoga, yoga becomes you. And that is the essence of yoga. It integrates into your life. Coming to class is superficial, but necessary. You absorb, you contemplate, and then it leads to change. It leads to adjustments. You develop consciousness, you start seeing yourself and the world around you in a different way, and you simply adapt to that. That is real yoga. Being yourself. Leading to your core, to your essence. And you become a star in whatever it is that you discover. Because that's the only thing that you can think of. That's the only thing that you can focus on, that you can work on, eventually. For me, it took many left and right and sideways and byways, but in the end there's one main road, one straight line. You always come back there. So why is this important? It's all about energy. Why do we get sick? Because our energy gets blocked. Why does our energy get blocked? Because we live in an illusion, in a fantasy. That fantasy, that illusion, is surrounded by a tension that leads to a blockage in your energy circulation. That is also the reason why you, as an observer, feel people who are in that condition. Because intuitively you feel that blockage, that tension that accompanies that condition. At the bottom of page 2 you see truthfulness in words is respect. Now, there is a lot of talk about respect in every culture around the world. Respect is very often a lie too. Have you noticed? I was once when I was single, I had something going on. Somebody felt attracted to me and I felt attracted to her. So we started walking my dog and her dog at that time was another dog. And we went to a restaurant to eat some food together, just getting to know each other. So I noticed some things. When we were walking the dog on the riverside, somebody in a uniform came and said, in a very stern voice, he was scolding her actually. I was a foreigner, so he was addressing her, very rude. And she was bowing to him and very polite and, oh yes, 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 because our dogs were off the leash. Then we went to a restaurant and there was this valet parking, the attendant who takes care of your car, and she spoke to him very rudely. And then I was done. For me, that was the point. I never wanted to see her again. Maybe a little bit radical, but it felt so bad. To one person in uniform, very, how do you call that, subservient? Very polite, very scared. And then being so rude, arrogant, to this poor guy who was just doing his job. I'm done. Respect is extended to everybody, even the person who cleans the toilet. Even to the poor one, the ugly one, the whatever. Respect is not, how do you call it? Selective. Otherwise it's not real. And people feel that. If I'm wearing a uniform and you are being so subservient to me, I totally feel no respect for you. But if you just look me in the face and respond with a certain sense of self-respect, I have much more respect for that than your coward way of acting just because I wear a uniform. So self-respect, therefore, is also something you cannot demand. If you demand self-respect, it's fake. Behind your back, people gossip about you, say the most ugly things about you. In front of you, they will be polite and humble and what have you. Self-respect must be deserved. How? By your bearing, by your attitude, by the way that you treat people. without prejudice and without selection. You want respect, you must earn it. There's no other way to get it. And extend respect to everybody, regardless. People that don't deserve it, you need to stay away from. It's as simple as that. That means sometimes in your life you have to make some difficult choices, because it could be a family member, it could be your manager or your boss. Often we bend things, our principles, out of convenience, like lying, to make a difficult situation simple. We bend our principles. Now, as a yogi, you become more and more straight. Maybe it was easy to bend your principles because that's just how life went. But with your increasing consciousness and sensitivity, you will not feel good about it anymore in the future if you compromise and bend your principles. It feels ugly, it feels dirty. That means you go through life more and more with a straight back. Not only literally, but because you are becoming a principled person. Like with lying or not lying, truthfulness, being principled, that is the difficult way of living life. Easy way is to just bend principles whenever convenient. But life is not rewarding as long as you keep bending. Because the chemistry that you build with the people, the respect that you gain because of your principled approach, because of your truthfulness, it earns you a lot of good things. It's very rewarding. It's not easy, just like always being truthful is not easy. You have to do effort to be principled, but the reward is enormous. For one thing, no regrets. Sattva will occur, peace of mind will occur. If you bend principles, you always have doubts, you always have regrets, you're always disturbed afterward. How can you live with yourself if every time you bend your principles just because it's convenient? I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror in the morning when I wake up. I can tell you my life has not been easy because of that. But you learn and you grow like never before. That is the reward. The peace of mind, self-respect, believing in yourself, knowing who you are. Then yoga is yoga, so always a sense of flexibility, gentleness, softness, use your heart, love, but no compromise where it comes to principles. Be straight, you will be naturally, but know that that is part of your development as a yogi. And it will make your life difficult sometimes, but always leading to better results. You know the story, you're walking on a road and you arrive at the fork in the road. One to the left, one to the right. 95% of all people go to the right. 5% go to the left. You will be the one that goes to the left. It is the road that is full of challenges, full of obstacles. It is the road of uncertainty, fear, desperation sometimes, but constant growth and development, evolution. Why only 5% takes this direction? Because human beings are just lazy. Subconsciously, we take the road of least resistance. People want to be comfortable. As soon as we become independent after graduating from school, technically what we do is we build a comfort zone with our house, with our job, with our relationship, with everything. And then we just want to consolidate this bubble. We don't want to come out of our comfort zone. I would like that too, you know. But every time I try, I die inside. My spirit dies. I cannot stand it anymore. So I've learned to be friends with those obstacles and challenges because I know they are my teachers. Because I know they make me grow far beyond I ever dreamt possible. It is a poem. It's called The Road Not Taken. You know that?
Yeah.
The Road Not Taken. "95% chooses the road of the least resistance, of comfort, of no challenges, no obstacles." That is where you become tamas. That is where you become sick. That is where you become unhappy, get stuck. The other side, it's the difficult road, but it's very dynamic. You will be very dynamic, always evolving, always growing, always learning. There is no diploma, no graduation. But every day again, you grow and you develop. It's the road of the yogi, inevitably. You will take that road. That's truthfulness. Because that is where you feel alive. That is where you feel connected. Questions? Okay, let's have a 5-minute break. Then we start with asana.